Today's show is the Christmas special. There's a few naughty words in it. Think of it like a grown-up panto. This is where the story begins.
Two weary photographers are travelling from Merthyr Tydfil to Malmesbury on a donkey, trying to find a place to record the last show before Christmas, thereby shoehorning in an important narrative so that the rest of the podcast makes some kind of sense.
Kev, do you think I could have a go on the donkey? I've been walking since the Severn Bridge.
No, it's my donkey. I keep telling you, it's my donkey.
Oi! You two! Get off the bleeding road with your stupid donkey! Get a car, you cretins, it's 2019!
You can talk with your bloody Tesla.
I've got to tell you this, Kev. I came back from a wedding last weekend and there was a vicar there. And he cornered me at the end after the whole ceremony and everybody was departing the church, and he said to me, "Can I just say thank you very much for today?" And I thought, that's very kind of you, very, very sweet. And then he went and ruined it by saying, if ever I was reincarnated, I said there'd be only two ways I'd like to come back to this earth. Either a cat because everybody loves them and they have 9 lives, or if I really wanted to be disliked, I'd come back as a wedding photographer.
Very Christian,
Yeah,
very Christian. Merry Christmas to you too.
Yeah, that's what I said. Merry Christmas to you.
Welcome to Neale and Kev's Christmas special, the FujiCast.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree.
After 80 miles and tailbacks stretching all the way back to Caerphilly, the boys eventually reach Malmesbury, only to find that the town's hotels have all been booked out for corporate parties, and there are no rooms in which to record their Christmas podcast.
Kev, any ideas? I mean, there's got to be a quiet place somewhere to record this thing. I told you we should have recorded this in the studio as normal.
Oh, don't worry about it. I keep telling you, I'm legendary around here, literally famous. Everybody knows me. It will be no problem whatsoever. Stop worrying. All your hair's going to fall out if you keep worrying like that.
But as the boys found, fame doesn't unlock any innkeeper doors in Malmesbury.
On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree.
All right, Nick.
Not tonight, Kev, mate. Sorry, bye.
All right, Wayno, can we come in and do a bit of podcasting?
No! Yo, what do you want?
All right, Andy, a bit cold out here. Can we come in, mate?
What do you want?
Well, I thought we could just borrow your house a bit. You know, a bit chilly. Christmas and all that.
Oh, you mad?
All right, Shane, can we come in?
No idea who you are, mate. What are you selling? No!
Dejected, the boys find a park bench and huddle together
Easy.
for warmth and start to tackle some of this week's mailbag.
On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
It's so cold, but you can go with the questions first.
Okay, only can I have a bit of your tenants extra? That one you got in your tin there. Let me have some of that. Okay, so this is from Adamo Ricky. Adamo, it definitely says
Who?
Adamo. Adamo, Adamo Ricky.
How are you spelling the Ricky?
Ricci.
Ricci.
Ricci. Adamo Ricci.
Yeah.
Silent letters. Pointless. Hi, Kevin and Neale. Greetings from Campania. Most beautiful place on earth. Where's that, do you think? Is that
That's in Italy. As in Ricci. Adamo Ricci.
yeah, of course, Italy. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I wonder if he's got tenants extra.
I doubt it.
I have a question about ego. This could be interesting. I switched to mirrorless cameras just over a year ago and love the freedom they have given me. At first, I went with Sony until a friend of mine loaned me her X-T2. I was hooked. I still shoot Sony for video, of course, but all of my stills work is done with the X-T3 and an X-T2. A lot of my professional friends still shoot with DSLRs here, and often it feels like people look down on me when I work with these smaller cameras. Do you ever feel like it's the case with the two of you, as it worries me when clients or what clients may be thinking?
Sounds to me like he might be a commercial. Is he a commercial shooter? Or is it? I know it doesn't say, but it just doesn't seem to me that somebody would feel that way at a wedding. What do you think?
No, absolutely no chance at a wedding. No, none.
Were you ever inclined to buy the battery packs for the cameras just so you could make them look larger? Because I know some people, they buy the XT2 or XT3 and they bolt on the battery at the bottom just to give it a bit more presence.
Yeah, I buy the battery chargers, those big extenders, and I just put them in my pockets.
So go on then, what about his question? Have you ever felt looked down upon? Because sometimes at a wedding, it's particularly interesting at a wedding, isn't it, when somebody turns up and they've got they've got the 1D mark, whatever. I never know the marks in the 1Ds, but they're huge, great big bricks, and the guests have got larger cameras than you have.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, it happens a lot, actually, but I honestly, it's not even something that comes into my mind now. I just think, oh, God, remember the days when I used to lug all that stuff around. That's it, pretty much. That's
you don't even think about it?
No, not at all. Not.
So what would your advice be to Adamo Ricci?
Don't worry about it, but it does. You are right about if it's a commercial shoot, maybe it's a big budget. Then I can understand a little bit why people might think that way, but it shouldn't mean that they're right. It doesn't mean they're right for sure. I mean, they shoot big budget Hollywood movies on mirrorless cameras these days, don't they? So. And you've got that advert on the TV now at Christmas time with the snowballs. That was all filmed on an iPhone.
Oh yeah.
That was very.
Do you know any commercial guys that shoot Fujifilm in particular? Do you know of? I know it's not necessarily your circle, but
yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely sure there's been plenty that's come around, and I've seen them. I mean, we had Keith, didn't we, on the podcast a couple of weeks ago? He shoots movie covers, and he uses Sony. So yeah, no, it's not a thing. And if it is a thing, then I would just move to another country. But don't come here.
No. Peter Gill, he doesn't mean it like that, Adamo. Peter Gill in Darwin. Hi guys, thank you for the first year podcast. Oh, that's nice, thank you. Not quite caught up with everything yet, but I am getting there. With a new year and a new decade, would you mind sharing any photo resolutions for your business?
Photo resolutions, yeah, 16 by 9 and square.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a tough one, isn't it? I don't think I've got any photography resolutions this year. In past years, I've tried the 365s, and I've tried must take more pictures of the kids and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I actually, this has put something in my mind, and I will try and endeavour to do more, like Louis Garvan style stuff of strangers.
Isn't that why you bought the GFX though, wasn't it? Because you wanted to do a bit of Garvan-esque stuff.
Originally it was, yeah, absolutely, and I just didn't do it. So maybe that's it. Maybe I will. 2020, Kevin Garvan Mullins.
What about anything you're doing wrong in the business that you think you should be doing differently? Following last week, where you're talking about is wedding photography dead, and talking about ways of approaching business in terms of finding a niche or altering the business slightly, appealing to a different kind of client?
Not so much that, but I am thinking about changing my packages slightly to introduce something a little bit different, which I will keep under my very cold hat right now. Couple more tenants.
Some more tenants, please. Tenants.
So I do have a little eye on a couple of different changes, but nothing dramatic.
Right. Is this the start of the decade of Kev photographing weddings in his mankini?
It is a new decade, isn't it? 2020, a new decade. Oh my God!
On that note, actually, but because in the wedding industry in particular, people said that 2020 might see a bit of a pickup after 2019 being a bit slow, because people like the idea of the new decade, or is that nonsense?
Possibly. I mean, would it go into your mind to think I want to get married in the year 2020 because it sounds better? Probably not. Don't know. We'll find out We'll find out next week when all of the inquiries start flooding in through our letterboxes.
Well, Brexit means Brexit has changed course slightly, hasn't it?
It's Christmas.
It's all politics. Christmas. Right, go on. You have another question.
Okay, I've one from Jason Duncan from Firth. And he says, "Hi, Kevin and Niall."
Niall?
We've had some funny ways of pronouncing your name, but never a Niall before. Just wanted to say what a cracking job I think you two are doing.
I'm obviously making a great impression.
As we approach 2020, what new cameras do you think might hit the market, Fuji or otherwise, and what would be on your Christmas list if you could choose a new body camera, that is?
I would like... See, I've got the XH1 now. That's got the in-body image stabilization. Do you think something to replace that? See, I'm really, really happy with that, and I'm really happy with the XT3. Would I want to see an XT4? with image stabilization. That could be fun.
Maybe. Yeah, it's not something that really bothers me, the IBIS. But you know what? If dreams were made of it, I would love, we talked about it recently, a monochrome camera. Monochrome X100 X or Q or whatever's next in the list. That would be ace. That would be my dream camera. I don't think it'll happen, sadly. But other than that, I'm pretty happy. Although every time a new camera comes out and I get to do a review, I say that it's the best thing that's ever happened. And it is, generally. But until they come around with it, the next best thing, you don't know what it's going to be.
How are you loving your X Pro 3s?
I love them. Yeah, absolutely love them. Best things ever happened.
God, I tell you what though, Kev, it's cold out here. It's getting dark now. I can't even read the questions. Surely there has to be a place where you can record this thing. Let's at least walk and talk a little bit.
Suddenly there came a light and the faint murmur of someone the boys thought they recognised. Like an ethereal vision, Gemma, floating 20 feet up, called to the boys.
Hail, boys! Do not worry, for you will find a place to record your Christmas podcast. And very soon, you will have a new camera in the lineup, and its name will be the
Shh, Gemma! Don't you dare reveal any of those secrets! Come down here now before you break your bloody neck!
And you have nothing to fear. Follow the brightest street lamps to the 3 cups, and there you will find a warm welcome and a pint of Thatcher's with a 3-pin socket for the mixing desk. Go with, gentlemen, go with. And Kev?
Yeah?
Don't you dare bring that bloody donkey back home after you've finished!
And as quick as she appeared, the vision had gone and the boys were left to follow the street lamps back into town.
Usually in a nativity, you'd now be surrounded by us kids dressed up as sheep trying to sell you a raffle ticket and a warm orange squash. But don't worry, we're just going to tell you something very special instead.
Part 2 is coming up in a moment, but a couple of things to tell you. Number 1, stick about for the bloopers. But most importantly, because we promised to tell you in this episode, we have a rather important birthday episode coming up, as you probably know. In February 2020, the show is officially 1 year old, and so we thought we'd celebrate by having a 1-year birthday show. And we couldn't think of a better place than Fujifilm's newly opened House of Photography at 8-9 Longacre, Covent Garden, London. Very trendy indeed. Fujifilm chose London to build the House of Photography and showcases Instax and X-Series and GFX all under one roof across 3 floors. And although we're essentially an independent show, we knew there could only be one home for this special anniversary. So, to the important bit. The recording date is Thursday, the 30th of January 2020, yes. The show starts at 6:30 p.m, though you can turn up early, of course. And we've invited Andreas Georgiadis, the marketing manager for electronic imaging at Fujifilm UK, to answer live questions from the audience. And of course, we'll be talking about photography in general, as we always do. See the new cameras on display, get touchy-feely if you'll pardon the expression, share some nibbles, watch the show, and then join us for a cheeky after-show pint at Kev's secret pub location. Shh, say nothing. This is a ticketed event, though it's absolutely free to attend, and for updates and first-come, first-served tickets, visit the show's website, fujicast.co.uk. You don't have to shoot Fuji to be there, of course not. We'd like to see this as everyone coming together to feel that special love you've created within the mailbag, the dedicated Facebook group, and through the Apple reviews. So this is our way of saying thank you for supporting the show in 2019 and heralding in a new decade in the company of your good selves. Save the date. Make it a long weekend, why don't you? And make sure you bring some questions along. Jan 30th, 2020, the House of Photography, London.
On the the day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
It won't be the same if you're not there, so make sure you join the boys on January 30th. Back to part 2. My dad is in the pub with Kevin. Now there's a surprise.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, nice.
Pint of Thatchers. We should do it like this every week. We should have a couple of pints of Thatchers on the go.
Perfect.
Right. Well, you can launch with the first question.
Okie doke. This is from...
I've got my squeaky chair, look. Look, I've got a squeaky chair in the studio, and look, we're in a pub, and I've got a squeaky chair. So I'm just in this corner over here, in our little...
the pubs around Malmesbury are very good quality.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, so stop whipping in your chair. This is from Paul Micklewayne.
Right.
Hi, Kevin and Neil. I'm planning on setting up a portrait studio from home in a few months' time. Do you recommend joining a professional association? And if so, which one? And what do you think the benefits have been for you?
Are you still a member? You're not a member of any, are you? Here we go. And because actually this time of year, usually we're looking forward to the SWPP conference in January, which I understand is going to be a smaller affair this year.
Yeah, it's been getting much smaller year on year, I think. And yeah, I was a member of SWPP for a long time. And in fairness,
I really enjoyed it, actually.
Yeah,
it was good. It was good fun.
In fairness, they were very good, and they are still very good.
Yeah.
And for various reasons, I'm no longer a member of the SWPP. And in fact, I'm not a member of anything. Really?
Does it make a difference, though? Do you need to be a member of something?
Personally,
what was that thing
I don't think so.
Groucho used to say, I wouldn't belong to a club where they would let me be a member or something? That was a famous phrase.
Is that why it's called the Groucho Club in London?
Yeah, it might be. I'm sure it was Groucho Marx that said that.
Yeah, it sounds
Never join a club where they let you be a member.
Yeah. I mean, memberships are good. Some of them you're going to get things like free legal advice if should you need it. Some of them will offer you discounts, insurance discounts. Mostly it's often about the competitions people enter and various things. I don't believe that it will get you more clients, though. That's the thing. I don't think it will get you more clients, but as a support network and as an interface to other photographers, then yeah, go for it.
A competition's worth entering.
Yes and no, I think. It depends on which ones you're entering and what you do with them afterwards. And personally, I just essentially see them as just giving money to other people, really.
Do clients ever, do you think, read into the fact that you are a member of an organisation? Is it important to them?
I don't think so. Honestly, I really don't. It's a hard one to answer, isn't it? Because if you're looking for a builder or a plumber or something, you're going to look for the kite mark. You're going to look for the associations that they're in. I just don't think that works. I don't think they have that for photography. I just don't. Basically, they're going to come to your website, look at your pictures, look at your prices, and go, yeah, love that guy.
Like him or don't like him.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make a decision based on if you're a member of SWPP or MPA or all of those other things. So for me, it's a no, I have to say. But for other people, your mileage may vary, as the trendy hipsters say.
All right. River Xavier, thank you very much for your question. Hi, Kevin, Neil. Great show. I listen every single week. I'm building a new website nearing completion, and I'm now looking at adding client galleries and also the possibilities of being able to order prints through this service. Do you have any advice at all? Should I use one of the online print services or just go old school and let clients contact me for prints, as I want to use the current supplier that I use for albums and prints? Who do you? We've done a question like this recently. You still use Zenfolio, don't you?
Yeah.
What's the reason for that?
Because it's very simple. The back end system is fully automated. People can go on there, order a print. They can design a frame layout. They can do all of this stuff. Press the button, pay for it. Zenfolio do all of the expediting. They send it to the lab. The lab sends the print to the client. Done and dusted. So I'm more than happy with Zenfolio. But there are lots of them out there.
Do you sell many prints?
Not really.
No. Is that because you don't push it hard, or do you think you could
I don't
sell more?
I don't push it, and it's not documentary weddings. I think we talked about this as well recently. It's not the kind of thing people buy prints from very often. I do sell some, but not much, I have to say. I
would say, River, that I've recently changed to PicTime. PIC-TIME, PicTime, and they're worldwide. And I've found that the way that they show your pictures, the way they display your pictures, the ease of use, the galleries just for me look so much better than when I was with Zenfolio. and it's made a difference. I've sold nearly £2,000 worth of prints and product since I changed to them. How long ago? About 2 months ago. So yeah, I hadn't sold anything near that amount with Zenfolio.
Wow.
Now maybe I hadn't tried as hard as I could have done with Zenfolio, but
so what are you doing? How are you getting that message to the clients? What happens? What happens when the wedding's done and dusted and you send the email?
Yeah, well, the same email goes out. Click onto this gallery, so that's not changed at all. It's just the presentation of the gallery. The way that you look at the images as a storyboard rather than one image at a time. You're about to tell me you could do that with Zenfolio anyway, are you?
You can absolutely, but I have it. I basically just take the defaults, and it's interesting. It's very interesting.
It's just and the product. See, before I hadn't ever thought about. I'd always thought things like calendars were cheap as chip products that you shouldn't really be pushing because they're not very serious products. It's only prints, But actually, I've been embracing calendars and prints, various ways of framing and canvas and so on and so forth. And it's just offering all these different products has made a huge amount of difference.
So which lab does it integrate with?
You can choose. From your drop-down, I use Loxley for some products. I use Queensbury for another product. So you can choose your products where you want to. Where you want to fulfill it. It's really, to me, it's made a huge difference on post event sales.
And of course, for portrait photographers or pet photographers or children photographers, then prints are imperative. So you need to have a good solution for it. Yeah. So Zenfolio and PicTime seem to be the ones that we use.
Yep. So that's what I would go for. River, right? Your question.
Good stuff. I have one from.
You all right with your pint?
Yeah. It's
not really attacking it much, are you? It's Christmas time, for heaven's sake.
Nice that. So this one's from Patrick Shawn, and he says, "Hi Neale and Kevin, I have been shooting with Fujifilm cameras for about 2 years now, and I do a lot of landscape photography. Since I was shooting with the Nikon D750 before that, I've been struggling with the dynamic range a bit on the Fujis. So a geeky technical question."
That's all right.
We've talked about this before, I think. Anyway, he goes on to say, "I played around with the dynamic range 400% mode a bit, but I'm still trying to figure out what the pros and cons are. What are your guys' take on that? Have you tested dynamic range 200, 400% settings before? Cheers from Germany, and please keep up the awesome work."
So you use automatic, don't you? Dynamic range?
No, I'd set it on 100.
100, sorry, yes, 100.
Don't set it on automatic.
That's right.
That's the worst thing you can do.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, the dynamic range will try and protect your highlights and shadows by increasing the exposure values, the ISO typically. So 200%, it means it's a multiplication of the exposure. So 100% of one. This is the question we did. I remember going through this. I remember doing the maths question. Yeah. Okay. So we have answered this before, but because
from a different person.
Different person. Yeah. Honestly, it's a question I get asked a lot though about dynamic range. So 100% of one is one, so that's effectively off. 200% is going to double the exposure value to protect the shadows, so you might end up with the minimum ISO that you can shoot over 400 ISO, and then 400%, the minimum ISO I believe is 800. So it's JPEG. It's only going to affect the JPEGs. It's not really something that I kind of find a benefit from at the moment. But if you are shooting JPEGs and you are doing landscape photography, then it might be a little bit more critical because you might have very bright skies against deep dark blue seas or something. But you're probably going to be using a filter to kind of mitigate for that. So yeah, I mean, it's a feature. It's useful, but really for the JPEG shooters. And if you're doing any kind of serious landscape work, perhaps you're probably shooting your RAWs. So
don't be thinking that just because it's 400 it's better.
Absolutely.
That's not the way it works.
No, quite right. Don't think the higher number the better, and don't put it on auto. And remember that 100% is equivalent to off.
With your X100F, here's an interesting one, because of course it's got a very shallow eye cup, hasn't it? When you put your camera against your eye. Mm-hmm. Have you ever used one of the deeper eye cups with the X100? Because I don't believe it comes with Fuji don't do anything where you can deepen that eye cup, do they, on the X100?
Don't think so. Same on the X Pro. No, it's a different eye cup. It doesn't have the little rubbery edge. No, and it's not something that bothers me. I think if you wear spectacles, you might want something a little bit deeper.
Well, the reason I mention it is because Zach Webb wrote to me with Kiwi Photos hot shoe cover and eye cup eyepiece viewfinder only for Fujifilm for the X100, and I popped it in the Facebook group. Mm-hmm. So if you go and dig it out in the Facebook group, look up Zach Webb or look up Kiwi Photo, KIWIFOTOS, Kiwi Photos hot shoe cover. I thought it looked. There's no question. I just thought it looked really excellent product. Mm-hmm. So if you have an X100, there we go. There's an easy early New Year present for you.
Yeah, and we'll link to it on the website as well.
Good. Right, sorry, I've sort of leapt in there without a question. So it's your turn again.
This is from Matthew Chan, and he says, "Hi guys, long-time subscriber and big fan of the show, yada, 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 yada. I've really enjoyed Neale's family travel videos and was wondering if you guys have tips on capturing family moments, photos, video, while still being present in the moment with the family. Interesting. Mm-hmm. P.S. Please upload more travel videos on your YouTube channels."
Are you talking about the XT2 stuff? I took the XT...
I think so.
I did the XT2, I think, in Australia, yeah.
I think
I didn't have an XT3 at that point.
I think the question, the meat of that question is, if you're busy recording pictures, films, whatever, of the family vacations, holidays, Christmas, how do you participate as your role as being dad, husband, and...
Well, I've always thought that they're quite fun family videos to make, so I've kind of always included the kids in the decision and what and how we make them. I think that, they quite like that idea. They turn into mini directors.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I haven't done kind of videos as such with my kids like that, but when I'm doing stills, if I'm kind of thinking about it in any anger, it's, you definitely want to make sure that you're not putting at risk the event that you're meant to be in, especially like Christmas, birthdays and stuff. Just for the sake of getting some pictures on Facebook or on YouTube. Definitely not. So just think carefully about that. But
and I think I said in the Australian one that I thought the XT2 was one of the best cameras to use for vlogging, because it's so small and you just pop it on one of those bendy tripods. Really easy to use, put it away really, really quickly. I just think it's a great tool for things like that. And the XT3, of course, even better.
Yeah.
And I've not used the XH1 yet for that sort of work.
No. Are you going to get me another beer?
Is it my turn again?
Yeah.
Right. Is my turn on the beer or my turn on the question?
Your turn on both.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I'll miss out the beer and just go for the question. This is from Matthew Latham. Hello, Neale. Hello, Kev. I'm a hobbyist photographer, stroke videographer, who started out with Canon 600D, end of 2016, and 80D in 2018, invested in the system with a few lenses secondhand. With a lack of video quality in Canon cameras. See, I've never thought they have a lack of video quality. I think they've got a lack of features such as zebras, if you want to the American way, or peaking, of course, because they want you to buy one of the cinema cameras.
It wasn't like the 5D when the 5D Mark 1 was it a 5D Mark 1 that was the first?
Not the Mark 1.
Really good video capabilities.
Really, it was the Mark 2.
Oh, was it?
That was what they filmed a bit of house on, wasn't it?
But that was when it first started. That's when DSLRs started really getting good at this.
And then along came the 5D3 and the 5D4, and the 5D4, of course, with the dual pixel focus system.
Yeah,
really, really strong.
But it is interesting that most people, when maybe it's just because of the community that I kind of revolve around in, it's either Sony or Fujifilm people are using for filmmaking. I don't see many people who are...
Well, not for... They use Canon?
Yeah, I don't see it.
Do you not?
I don't. But like I said, that might be because of the communities that I kind of revolve around in. But
do you mean when you're shooting a wedding, you never see a videographer using a Canon camera?
I don't think so. It's mostly Sony's.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
mostly Sony's. And I don't know whether that's just because they're smaller and lighter than the Canon counterparts, or whether they're better.
Yeah, probably.
Who knows?
Anyway, I work in an office as a BIM coordinator, coordinate building services in a 3D model, basically. That sounds very posh, doesn't it? Which pays the bills, and I like my job, but I don't want to be in front of a computer screen 8 hours a day and in one place the rest of my days. Recent episode said about keeping a separate bank account. I think we did a question like this: from your full-time job, and only use funds to buy gear when you have enough of it. As with a full-time income, you can justify in your own head buying new gear, which I have an impulse to do. So the question, I only have an XT3 and one lens, the 1855, after trading away the Canon gear. Would you start a business with only one body and one lens, like the XT3 and the 1855, alongside your full-time career? Or would you save the money and buy a second body and a few lenses before even thinking about a business?
If you're charging anything, I believe you need two cameras.
Yeah. Why?
In case one breaks.
Right, okay.
Basically.
So it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be another XT, does it? It can be an X100. Something just give you some backup.
Yeah, I mean, if it's filming you're doing, then you want probably XTs or XHs, but or GFX 100 as a backup camera. That's nice. 10 grand camera.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would be a backup, would it?
But no. So if you're, at the point of charging, then I believe you should have 2 cameras. How that manifests and what one you choose is up to you. But yeah.
All right, your question. We're firing through these today. Is it just because you want to drink more?
I would normally have pork scratchings, but I can't really.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Gemma gave me this. This is Kev's Boxing Day meal: parsnip, sprout, chestnut hot pot with cider and sprout top pesto.
Cider.
Well, the cider is a good bit, but it's all sprouts. You're going to be a terrible person to be sat next to at Christmas. It's sprout, and more sprouts with a few chestnuts thrown in for good measure.
Sprouts are lovely.
Preparation time, though, very, very slow, very quick, rather, 30 minutes. Cooking time, 30 minutes. Serves 4. So you're going to have a lot of this stuff to eat. Yeah.
Do you know what? Since I've been a vegan, do you know what I've found is one of my favourite little quick meals?
What's that?
Pan-fried sprouts. Love them.
I quite like sprouts.
Yeah, but pan-fried, not boiled in a pot.
What do you pan-fry them with?
Well, I used to pan-fry them with bacon.
Are you putting some chestnuts in there now?
No, a little bit of onion.
Yeah.
A little bit of oil, a little bit of onion.
Olive oil.
Possibly a bit of garlic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really nice. Eat them like
that's a good snack, actually.
Crisps. Yeah, it's if you like sprouts, it's really nice.
Actually, there's a new flavour, a Walker's flavour this year in their Christmas range, and one of them is Brussels sprouts crisps. Honestly, it's really nice as well.
Yeah. Do you remember when they used to do hedgehog flavour crisps?
Did they?
Yeah.
No.
Hedgehogs. Yeah, hedgehog crisps. Yeah, they did.
People will be thinking that's real.
It was real.
No, you can't.
Well, it was hedgehog flavour crisps. Yeah.
Does everybody know what hedgehog tastes like?
Right in.
Somebody like chicken.
Somebody send us a picture of hedgehog crisps.
Yeah.
I think they banned them in the end.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay, this is from Dennis Skyam, and he says, "Hello, gents. Following a post from Amanda Edwards in the Facebook group, I'm wondering what your take is. Why are the companion apps for proper cameras such trash? I use the EOS remote app with my Canon 5D, the Image Edge app with my Sony RX100, and now the Fujifilm camera remote app with my X-T3, and they are all absolutely terrible, both technically and from a UX standpoint. UX, for those of us in the know, is user interface.
Right, okay.
Why do you think none of the big manufacturers are able to craft a companion app that both actually works and provides a good user experience? Best regards."
What's the problem that they're having with the? Does it say? Because for me, the companion app, the problem I have is connectivity.
Yeah.
I can never get it to do the same thing twice.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem. I have to say, in most cases, mine works, well. I have had issues with it, but it does generally work. But the interface is terrible. It's clunky, and I'm only talking about the Fujifilm one here. I haven't used any of the others, so I can't really talk about them. But it seems like, good old Dennis, he seems like he's bought into every camera brand possible, and he's got the apps available. You know what? I wonder if it's because they all outsource, because I wouldn't imagine there's a little fella at Fujifilm headquarters programming these things. Right. I would imagine it's outsourced. Could be that all of the companies use the same guy. Same little fella.
Maybe they should be looking at that.
I do know for a fact, though, that Fujifilm are aware of the camera app and making it better. Do you
use it?
I use it. Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. I use it especially on my tablet now.
Do you?
On my little tablet. It's great for actually saying that. You can on my tablet I can just stick the SD card in and take the files off as well if I wish to.
Right.
But it's it's cool. And the new update to Lightroom Mobile, by the way, this is really useful for those of you that use Lightroom still. You can now ingest into Lightroom Mobile directly from a memory card as well.
So the answer really is, I'm afraid do you know of anything coming along that might improve on that app? You don't, do you?
No, I don't. But it's just I know it's something that they're aware of. Yeah.
Early New Year present would be nice there, wouldn't it? Randy Tarr, thank you very much for your question. Kev, I've just watched your YouTube video on film simulations, my Fujifilm JPEG settings and 7 custom settings. Have I seen that one? I'm sure I must have done. I've seen all your films. Do you carry these film simulation settings across all your Fuji cameras? And Neil, do you have a favourite film simulation that you use? I mean, I can just straight away say, yes, I do. It's right at the top, the sort of standard setting. But you chop and change a bit, don't you?
Yeah, my settings have changed slightly over the years, and generally they're the same. Those 7 settings are the same, but some of the cameras have newer features like clarity and kind of grain and color, chrome effect, and all that kind of stuff. So I might be tweaking them a little bit. I haven't really done that much with the X Pro 3 in terms of the new settings, but maybe I will. Maybe I'll do an updated video on that as well. because there are some really nice new JPEG features in that camera. The warming as well, the warm tone is now on the X Pro 3 is much better than the...
Are you actively using
XT3.
that?
Yeah,
Are
it's
you?
great, because it used to be, it was just basically a sliding scale previously. It went up to 5 and down to 5, and 5 plus 5 was orange pictures and minus 5 was blue pictures. But now you've got an overall little graphic that you can move the little dot around and get a much more kind of precise color scheme. Nice. So yeah, I might update that. But yeah, generally they're the same.
Okay, it hasn't really changed.
I use Acros and that's mostly it.
Go on then, Kev, yours.
Okay, I've got one from Stephen Hockin, and which I'm not going to read out his whole email address, but it's the first part of his email address is shocks. Stephen Hockin, nice.
Small things.
Little things, I know. Get me another beer. He says...
Do you mean you want a half instead of a pint? Is that what you mean by small things?
He says, Jed, so you are both accomplished photographers with great portfolios behind you. Thank you very much. Photography is your business and pays the bills, and you keep us engaged with the podcast and your YouTube content. And his question is, can it be a hobby too? Mm-hmm. Do you ever find yourself drawn to taking pictures in a way that's new to you? I'm thinking like astrophotography or macro, etc. If so, what have you done? And are there any types of photography that you still want to try out?
I've always fancied doing a bit more, or a bit of, not a bit more, but landscape. I'd love to get into landscape. I don't know anything about shooting landscape. And for those that have suggested him, Paul Sanders is going to come on the podcast very soon. I'm trying to. He's going to come actually all the way over to the studio, and we're going to go walking on Greenham, which is the old USAF air base. No longer, it's not an air base any longer, and we're going to do some landscape stuff up there. So cool. That's going to be a lot of fun. But landscape, I'd like to try a bit of landscape.
Can I come to that?
Yeah, no, there's no open invite. Of course you can. You're invited.
I like Paul.
Yeah, I thought we'd maybe meet up for some lunch, go out with Paul, do some landscape shooting, do the interview.
Sounds good.
There. So landscape. I mean, the Don McCullin stuff in particular. I love Don stuff with. Oh, that's so dark, isn't it? That's why I'm quite drawn to it. And Louis Galvan is in, and I love his stuff as well. Now we're not talking about landscape now. I love his studio work with his what would you call it? Still life stuff. I think it's extraordinarily good.
I've got one of his pictures in my bedroom on the wall. So
I've never been in your boudoir.
There's still time. Of course. Going back to the original question, of course it can be a hobby. It has to be a hobby. You don't let it not be a hobby. It has to, first and foremost, if you're a photographer, you should enjoy it and love it. And that means that every time you're taking a picture, you're enjoying it, whether that's at a wedding, whether it's a commercial shoot, or it's just a hobby, landscape, whatever, shooting your dogs. I could shoot one of my dogs quite happily.
Oh, poor, what's his name?
Git.
Poor Git. I love Git. He's lovely.
He's a kid.
He's not. He's gorgeous. He's a real scruffy Monty, isn't he? Monty. He's a proper scruff dog. Love scruff dogs.
Yeah. The thing is, we have Monty and we have the little princess whippet, Breezy, who just sits there and quivers and lies down all day long. Oh. And then we've got Monty, who's like a thug.
Monty's got so much character, though, don't you think?
I'm going to wrap him up and send him to you for Christmas.
I'd happily have Monty over for Christmas. I would. He's
ruining my vegan experience. So yes, hobby, absolutely. And I would, what I'd love to do is go to Iceland and do not the green sky thing, whatever that's what's that called?
Northern Lights.
The Northern Lights,
green sky thing.
Eurylis Borealis or something.
Yeah. Well, there's always pills for that.
Yeah, I would love to see that and take pictures of it. I don't think I'd have the ability to, but I would just love to go to Iceland and go really out into the depths of the winter area and just the scenes, winter scenes. I love it. There's that film we've talked about it before called The Traveller on Amazon Prime, and he's a photographer and he goes out into the Utah salt plains at 3 a.m, minus 15 degrees, and he just takes pictures of coldness. Would
you make your way over to all the regular Icelandic sites, like where the aeroplane is and all that, or would you try and avoid all those because they've been well travelled now?
I think from a tourist point of view, I'd probably cast my eyes over it, but I might take a snap, but not for any any reason.
It does have a slight problem now, doesn't it? That and I've talked to somebody in an upcoming interview about this. That Iceland now, the Icelandics, a lot of the locals are a little bit unhappy with the amount of scenery that's been somehow spoiled by tens of thousands of people trekking across in areas where they're not supposed to go.
Yeah. Well, there's that famous. Is it the rapeseed or is it the bluebells in France, in southern France, that are very, very famous for pictures. It's got like a little chateau at the end of it, and the leading lines are beautiful and everything, and there's a tree. And somebody posted a video of all of the people who were taking pictures of this stuff. It was like hundreds and hundreds of people there, all turning up in their vans and buses. And the farmer has basically put a big sign up saying, stop it, please stop, because these are our crops.
It's wrecking.
And they are totally, and the footage was horrible. There was people just traipsing through these lovely bluebells, and with no care and attention, just to try and get this shot. And it's a very cliched picture.
With your love of street work, have you ever considered going across to India and doing? I mean, I know some people think about the Indian thing as lots of people taking pictures of the same thing, and sometimes a dreadful sort of poverty tourism as well. But India is a country rich with culture, obviously, and rich with photographic scenes to photograph.
Yeah, I was once I was meant to go and do a workshop in India, but I looked into the visa things, and similar to America, basically couldn't go. So, but yeah,
to teach?
Yeah, to do.
But what about all those people that do these courses in India?
Well, no comment.
Okay.
But there was another famous footage. You got me on one now of one of a fisherman on a boat in the River Ganges, and it was at dawn. Beautiful picture of this guy casting his net onto the water. The sun rising behind him, amazing. And then the guy switched his mobile phone to to what was in front of him, and there was 35 photographers.
Oh, my word. Right.
And there was also a guide who was organising this, telling the fisherman, no, do it again, somebody didn't get it, do it again, do it again. And he did it 6, 7, 8 times, and actually the fisherman is obviously getting paid for this, which is a good thing, but those pictures are then being passed off as
it's
handed.
Not
what I stumbled across,
it's not reality, is it?
No, it's rubbish. I hate that kind of stuff, absolutely hate it, but each to their own.
Following on from something from last week's show where we were asking, is wedding photography dead, which I appreciate was a cheery conversation so close to Christmas. Had something from John St. John Smith. That's the best name in the world, isn't it? John St. John Smith. Follow up to last week's interview and feature on Is Wedding Photography Dead, but more to do with the Ian Weldon interview about shooting on a smartphone. And then the backlash from some photographers fearing a worrying trend. John St. John Smith wrote this. And if you haven't heard that episode yet, rewind, go back 1 week. We did an episode last week. It was episode 44, which was all about Is Wedding Photography Dead? 3 guests to try and prove that it wasn't. But within one of those interviews, Ian Weldon was talking about shooting an entire wedding on a mobile phone and whether that was either damaging to the industry, which of course he said no, not at all. And the best camera is the one you have in your hand at the time, so on and so forth. Anyway, Johnson John Smith goes on to say, a catch-22, I guess, on using a smartphone. On the one hand, well, it's only a smartphone with a very tiny sensor. On the other end of the spectrum, it's an incredibly small, innocuous photographic device. If one has the skill to utilize it, then why not add it to the armory of your kit? And it's not just wedding social photographers. This reminds me, and I went to look at this morning, it looked amazing, of American photojournalist Ben Lowy, who I believe shot a presidential press call on his iPhone to much disgust from his peers, and he also had a time cover. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw the article, yeah.
He shot images of Hurricane Katrina a few years back, and even has a hipstermatic phone app camera profile as well. My long-winded point here is that it is a tool, and a photographer will utilize whatever tool they have to get in an image. Think Olympus Trip. Add Who Do You Think You Are, David Bailey, which is a good point.
It is a very, very good point. But my counter to that point will be that people will not pay a wedding photographer to turn up with a mobile phone. Simple as that.
Why?
Because they will not, because all of their guests have got mobile phones, and they're just not going to be putting trust into that kind of thing. It's not. It just wouldn't happen. It might happen as a marketing kind of element, and that's fine.
I mean, you love your Huawei, but you still don't believe you could use it professionally?
No, I just wouldn't. I love that Huawei phone, absolutely, and the pictures are amazing. I totally agree with Ian on that regard. But I just don't think it it's a message for the industry that anybody can just rock up with a mobile phone and get the same images. I mean, it's very interesting that we didn't see any nighttime shots, didn't see any dance shots, didn't see any shots of movement. We didn't see any. I have a Hawaii P20 I've got rather than a P20 Pro rather than the P30 Pro that Ian was using. So it may be slightly different, but I know for a fact that you just can't get the pictures. As soon as the light dips down, if there's any movement, you get all of this very weird perspective, and it's not feasible. It's not reasonable. It's just not reasonable.
A friend of mine that works in the more in the editorial environment said he'd heard that episode. And he dropped me a message to say, do you know what? It's actually not wedding photographers and social photographers that are suffering at the hands of iPhones and smartphones and whatever flavour. It's actually the editorial business, because of course, first person often to an editorial story these days is not the photographer. It's going to be somebody who's got a blindingly good smartphone.
Yeah. And if you look at the bottom of every BBC News article, it says, "Were you there? Yeah. Just send us your pictures."
Absolutely, yeah.
Citizen journalism, they call it, which is a good thing in its own right. I agree with that for sure. But my opinion will not change.
No, I can tell. The lady will not be turned. Your question.
Oh yes. Hang on a second. Just gonna hang on.
You're milking that.
Where's my hedgehog crisps? Okay, so I have.
You're not allowed hedgehog crisps now. They're not vegan.
Well, I don't think there was real hedgehogs in them.
Oh, I thought you were suggesting there were.
No, hedgehog flavoured. That's what it's the same as chicken flavoured crisps. There's no chicken in them.
In fact, a lot of the meat ones are great for vegans, aren't they? Yeah. Chicken crisps, no problem, vegan friendly.
Oreos are vegan friendly.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've eaten a lot.
You're living on Oreos and sprouts at the moment.
Falafels and sprouts. Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay, this is from Rodrigo Villarruza, and he says,
I beg your pardon. Say that again.
Rodrigo Villarruza.
Oh, very good.
I got that right.
You did, yeah.
And then he goes on to say,
beg your pardon.
Hola, muchos.
Hola.
Mm-hmm. Actually, it starts with the title, a comment rather than a question.
All right.
Okay. Loving your show. Great Fuji vibes. I don't really have a question, just a comment. Mm-hmm. I just sold my Canon gear and jumped into the Fujifilm system. While I do miss the full frame look, I find myself taking many more pictures than before. Mostly I feel that the change is pushing me to develop I've had too many beers now. It's pushing me to develop my photography. I'm paying more attention to the composition and storytelling and relying less on shallow depth of field trap that I was often falling into. I love full frame, but lately I had the impression that I was getting a little bit lazy with photography. And so he goes on to say, last week somebody was asking about a guide to the technical side of the XT3. And he's telling us that Caleb Pike from DSLR Shooter, that's a website, isn't it? DSLR Shooter has a great guide to using the camera in video mode. So I will dig that out and link to it on our website.
Right.
And if it's a video, then I will put it on our video library
building
on the website.
Yeah.
Keep coming to the website; it's getting bigger and better. And then he goes on to say, loving Kevin's Meyerowitz and Padilla JPEG recipes, which goes back to that 7 settings that we were discussing earlier. So thank you for that, Rodrigo.
Do you notice on the newly styled website as well? You will now find a tip jar for anybody thinking, how dare they, the boys, start charging us for the podcast? Can I just make sure you understand that we're not charging for the podcast at all? It's just a little bit of a helping hand for some of the stuff that we've got planned in the future, of which we should probably now mention 30th of January. I can't yet tell you the location, but it will be the 30th of January, and you need to be free sometime between 5 and 8.
Yeah, and it will be central London.
It will
between
be
5 p.m. and 8 p.m. There will invariably be something going on earlier in the day, meetup, whatever, photo walk, perhaps, I don't know, whatever. But between 5 and 8, we will be doing the Happy Birthday to Us party. There will be things such as Oreos, sprouts, hedgehog flavour crisps.
Do you know, if you want to go out and do a dirty kebab with me, you can. There we go. And Kev can watch from a distance. And then you can eat the bread bit.
I'll make sure there's some Coors Light on tap.
Why does it have to be Coors Light? Is that a particularly vegan-friendly
I think it is. And also it's
you have to stop drinking wine.
Did you know there's only 73 calories in a Michelob Light? That's less than a banana.
Well, what about all the alcohol that turns to sugar or whatever?
There's not much alcohol in it. And then there's like 3% or something.
Right, okay.
But 73?
Wow.
Calories, yeah. Yeah, so I have a couple of them for breakfast instead of my bananas now.
On the cornflakes. Tom Verhoeven, thank you very much for your mail. Hi guys, greetings from Ghent in Belgium. Only discovered the podcast recently, binge listening at the moment, starting with episode 1. You've got a long way to go. Is it 16 now? There's something I never understood regarding auto ISO. On the XT3 you can put a minimum shutter speed for each of the 3 in the settings, but it's not respected. How to make the camera respect it, please? I try to be on 160 most of the time, but auto ISO maxed out 6400 comes in handy for low light receptions. So he's obviously a wedding photographer. Thanks very much in advance. Can you manipulate that? You're looking at me with a very pained expression.
I wasn't listening.
You weren't listening. Oh God, he's looking across. Is it the bar lady over there? Is it?
My friend's just come in.
Come over.
He owes me
Bring a beer.
Sorry, you better.
Do you want me to read that again?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Only discovered your podcast recently. Not editing that out. Binge listening, starting on episode. You don't want all that stuff, do you? There's something I never understood regarding auto ISO. On the XT3, you can put a minimum shutter speed for each of the 3 in the settings, but it's not respected. How can I make the camera respected? I try to be on 160 most of the time, but auto ISO maxed out to 6400 comes in handy for low light receptions. So did you get it that time?
I got it.
Okay.
And this is something that's come up a lot of times. So the minimum shutter speed is actually only a recommended minimum. The ISO parameters will never be bursted through. So whatever you set your minimum maximum ISO, it will always respect that. Shutter speed is a minimum. So what will happen is in your viewfinder you will see the shutter speed will appear in either red or blue to indicate that the camera has to lower the shutter speed beyond what you've asked it to get that shot. And the fact is, if you're struggling with that, you need to increase your shutter speed or open the ISO up higher, or the aperture. It's the exposure triangle, simple as that. And it just needs to be corrected. I just set it to 12,800 ISO as my maximum all the time.
It seems to work really well actually. It's never let me down.
Mine never goes lower than that at all. It will often go up to 12,800 ISO, but then the shutter speed can always stick at my minimum.
So, your question, Kev, what have you got?
Okay, I've got one from Joanna McIntyre, and she says, "Hi guys, I have a question I'm hoping you can help me with." And I've actually just read this, and I don't know the answer, so maybe you can help with this.
Don't do this, because if it's a technical one, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble.
It's. I'd like to film night lights and car trails as a time-lapse video. So far, the only way I've figured out how to do this is via stills image section and setting my parameters there. But then I need to upload to Premiere and build it myself. This is rather time-consuming, and any other camera I've had, it's usually just an option within the video mode.
Yes.
Am I missing something in the video section that can make it easier?
No, you're not. No. That's one thing that's on my big shopping list of things I'd love to have.
Can you not use the intervalometer?
You can use the intervalometer, but I think what she's talking about there is that on cameras such as the Canon, I know certainly it's on the 5D4. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what she's asking there is it possible to have a video mode of your time lapse? So it's piecing the time lapse together and then spitting it out at the end as one video, which you can't do with the Fujifilm cameras. There's no
No. I'm just having some questions.
And then this the problem with Lightroom is a long. It takes a long time to put together a really good time lapse. I think if you're altering the exposures, and
I'm sure this was put into the XT100, not the X100T, but the XT100, which is a real entry level kind of camera.
Well, I don't use that camera, and I'd be amazed if that's got it, and the XT3 hasn't.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. The technology must be there, and I know in the X Pro 3 they've added a few bits and pieces that will kind of blend.
Is that there then? Have you got time lapse movie?
I don't know. I haven't looked. I don't know. I know there was some other things added, such as like blending the HDR and all that kind of stuff. And
there's a couple of things you need to remember when you're putting together a time lapse in something like Premiere, because when you open up those files, when you've presented your files ready, and they're all shoved out as JPEGs at 1920 wide by whatever, depending upon the size of film that you're making, then one thing to remember is you have to name. Is it called filing convention? What's it called? Filing.
The naming convention.
Naming convention, yeah. You have to remember that it starts off with the letters, so it might be London, then underscore, and then either 3 or 4 numbers, depending upon how many shots you've done. But it has to be that way around. Otherwise, when you open it up and you go to do the little checkbox, it will not work.
That sounds very complicated.
Yeah, should do a video on that.
Yeah. Do you want a game of pool? Do you fancy a game of pool?
But that guy's on it all the time, though.
I know. It's only 50p in here.
And he's bigger than me, and he's got tattoos. I know I shouldn't be concerned about things like that, but so is Gemma, to be fair.
She's not bigger than you in her tattoos.
No, I meant the tattoos. Oh God, don't know. Sorry, Gemma.
Yeah, she does have a tattoo. You're quite right.
Simon Berry. So just Simon Berry's one. Yeah, hi chaps, great show. I'm just wondering how each of you see the importance of post-event session processing in your software of choice versus trying to capture the photograph closer to how you want the final image to look when shooting. I'm asking in light of the apparent trend of heavily processing shots being preferred by photographers at least as skilled, if not more skilled, with the software than they are with the actual camera itself. Is computer literacy in photo creation becoming far more important? What do you think, Kev? It probably has been for quite a while, I would have thought.
I think
really,
it has been for a long time. Yeah, I mean, we've always seen, there's some very famous and very good wedding photographers who basically drop skies in that are purple and different colours and backgrounds and everything. And if that's what the clients are expecting, then that's absolutely fine. But yeah, I don't do any of that. Digital art, I would call that digital art rather than photography so much.
Well, that's it for this Christmas special in our little echoey corner in the pub over here. Kev, you know that bit in the story where there are three wise photographers bearing gifts?
Yeah.
Why didn't we do that bit? I really wanted to try out this new That would have been so much fun. Who would your... In fact, here's a question to you then. Let's do a couple of free flow questions here at the end. Who would your three wise photographers be?
Oh my God. Three wise photographers I would have... if they're bringing gifts, they need to
not
be...
just because they're bringing you gifts, but maybe
that's
three...
what the wise men did.
Well, that's true, but the three photographers you'd like to sit next to with the three wise photographers with all that information to impart.
No, I just want them to bring me things.
You just want
now.
some presents.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I'm going to go for Sanjay. Sanjay Jogia.
Because he's rich.
He's absolutely loaded.
He's loaded.
And
he'd bring you a Canon gear though. Would you want that?
That's fine because I could put it on eBay. That's fine. And then I'm going to go for who else might be really rich? I don't know. Sanjay's the only one. He takes all the money.
Okay, so if you were choosing three wise photographers, who would they be?
Okay, I would go for Louis Garvin.
I knew you were going to say for Louis Garvin first.
He's such a beautiful man, and he's a very gentle soul, and his pictures. It's interesting. I thought about this when we were talking about Don McCullen's landscapes earlier. That the photography, the personality comes out in pictures a lot, I think.
Do you think it comes out in his?
In Don's or Louis'?
Louis'.
Yeah, definitely. In both of them. That's why Don's landscapes are very gritty and dark.
I mean, that's very much him, yeah.
Yeah, and Louis Garvin's work is just superb.
What is it about Louis Garvin you particularly like then? And if you haven't looked at Louis Garvin's work, you really have to follow a link to that.
I really like Louis Garvin because once when I was in New York, he bought my lunch.
We're back to rich photographers again.
No, I just love the simplicity and the beautiful. And I'm not a portrait photographer, but I can look at these strangers and get a real sense of who they are.
Louis Garvin makes me want to be a portrait photographer. He really does. Yeah.
No, he does.
So Louis Garvin will be one of your three wise photographers. Second one? It'd be very easy to go for Don. I'm hoping you might bring up two more names.
I'm going to go for Darcy Padilla.
Darcy Padilla, yes.
Yeah, Darcy Padilla.
Yeah.
Just because I think I could learn so much from her. Not that I couldn't learn from Louis Garvin.
Yeah.
And who else? I think... what about that? What's that fella that photographed thingy?
Fella that photographed thingy. Which thingy are we talking about?
The president bloke, Barack Obama. What was the photographer name?
Oh, yes, I know who you mean. I thought for a minute you were going to say Mandela. Of course, we had Keith Bernstein on,
Keith.
but
I've had. I'm on a whiskey now. It's not things are
whiskey chaser for Kev
going badly.
Go on,
going badly. Yes, him. Anyway,
yeah, him.
They would be good.
They would be good.
I think that would be a great dinner party.
Yeah.
What about you then?
But I would go for Louis Garvin definitely.
Well, I'd just like because he's coming. He's bringing me gifts, not you.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I'd like to sit next to him and just bug him about some of the. I mean, he'd probably be bored to death because I'd want to talk to him about technical stuff. And he probably doesn't really want to, does he? He's not that kind of photographer.
I've already told him not to speak to you.
Well, Louis Garvin's my guest, not yours. No, he's your guest, isn't he? But I'm afraid we're going to have to share him. Who else? You see, I mentioned him so many times, but... Oh, do you know who I'd like to bring over from Australia? Cameron Neville.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cameron Neville.
I'd really like to spend some time sat next to him talking about, and have you seen some of the photographs of Cam's of late? He's a firefighter.
Yeah.
He's a photographer.
Been busy recently.
Yeah, and he is they're all volunteers, by the way, the Australian firefighters in the bush fighting these fires. And do you know what I found out the other day? A lot of them, they don't have any breathing apparatus bought for them. They have to buy their own gear.
Wow.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, they go out there every single day and they risk their life. So Cam Neville, I'd love him to be sat there. Now I'd probably choose, who would I choose? I've always wanted to, wouldn't it be great to go, and this is a back in time because she's no longer with us, but Vivian Maier, I just would like to have a conversation with her and find out what her driving principles were behind her photography and whether...
But she wouldn't be able to answer those questions
No,
because she never saw any of her pictures.
But that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
wouldn't it be lovely to sort of deliver, say, look, time travel, go back in time and say, Vivian, I've got a book for you to read here. Yeah. It happens to have your name on the front.
Yeah.
Look what you did.
Yeah. Because her book, that book, the one of the prints of her work is amazing, but also the book and the film, the documentary about the story is incredible, absolutely incredible.
Okay.
Even Albie knows her name.
Does he?
I watch that documentary so often. Yeah.
Oh, you've got that documentary on?
Yeah, it's on
DVD.
Amazon.
On Amazon.
DVD?
DVD, Grandad. We've been talking about the hit parade next. Well, that is it for a slightly irreverent Christmas special. If you've liked this week's show, please take a moment and share it within your own Facebook feed or Twitter, or just email a friend. If you haven't joined the private face group yet, do so. A lot of stuff in there about how it's a safe place. It is a safe place, isn't it? I think people feel generally very comfortable in there. And you now have to feel people are going to trip you up for so-called silly questions, because there are no silly questions in that group. Nobody judges, and it's important that you can share questions and thoughts about your photography. Thank you for your questions this year. They've been absolutely phenomenal, haven't they?
Yeah, it's been great.
When we started doing this, did you what shelf life did you put on it? Seriously, be honest.
One.
Because we absolutely had to have questions, otherwise it would not have gone this far. And if you haven't sent in a question yet, once those questions, when that stream dries up, I think we'll dry up, won't we?
Well, they're the lifeblood of the show.
They are.
You didn't know that?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, absolutely. And I think I speak for both of us. I want to say thank you very much for your love and support and kindness throughout the year. It does take a lot of effort on both our parts, but I have to publicly say mostly it's Neale.
No, that's not true at all. No. Send them in via the website address, which is click@fujicast.co.uk. Music on the show this week from the incredible artlist.io resource. Brilliant. I would be lost really with my filmmaking if I wasn't using that particular resource. And no, they don't pay me to say that. I don't. And I think you actually have some sort of deal with them, don't you?
If they don't pay you, I'll put my referral link on the website then. Yeah, yes. That's fine. Come and click my referral link. You'll get 3 months free.
Well, great. I mean, now that I use them and I don't get anything from them for any click-through. I just think it's a brilliant resource, and that's why I use them.
Well, if we get...
if you're listening to this in a year's time, that might well have changed.
I think I get $30 for each link. So that's $10 for you and $20 for me. Perfect.
I like the way you share things. And if you want to see our offerings to the photo community in the world, there's one address you need to go to, and that's fujicast.co.uk/the boys. B will be back, and she'll say that herself, as you know. Now there's a new jingle. So come on then, what happens in the Mullins household over Christmas? I mean, I know you're going to be eating nut roast for all of it, are you?
Yeah. No, we're very festive. Although
what's the tradition? What's the tradition?
So we will we'll go to mass on Christmas Eve.
Oh, of course,
we'll do that.
Yeah.
And then we'll.
What time is mass?
It's actually midnight mass this year.
Oh, you do midnight mass?
No, it's at 6:30.
Oh, right, okay. Midnight mass at 6:30.
Yeah.
Right, okay. That's child-friendly midnight mass.
But they have carols and everything, and before that we have a whole load of our friends come round to our house on Christmas Eve for a few hours before we all traipse off to church.
Yeah.
Slightly staggering.
You do not go into the house of the Lord drunk, I hope.
Well, I wouldn't call it drunk. Anyway, you get wine there. I get wine there every week. No,
but the idea is when you do mass, it's not to neck the glass of wine. That's not. I mean, that would be like something. Who was that comedian? The Irish comedian that used to do stuff like that.
Irish, yeah.
No, he was. A brilliant guy. I can't think of his name. Oh, you're shouting. I know you're shouting right now at your PC or smartphone or whatever you're listening to, and you're saying and I can't think of his name. Oh, really good comedian, 70s comedian. Oh, never mind. So you go to midnight mass.
Yeah, I go to midnight mass at 6:30.
Yeah.
Then we come home, and then obviously the kids go to bed at some point.
Yeah.
Last year, Rosa was so excited that
She stayed up all the way till 6 in the morning.
At 2:00 in the morning, Gemma went for a walk around town with Rosa just to try and
last year.
Last year, she's 12.
Oh my word! So they were walking around Malmesbury at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
You're joking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. She's like, honestly, I love my daughter so much. She's fun, and she's a bottle of pop constantly. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
Albie's a bit more like Monty the dog, a little bit more serious and a bit more moody. Yeah, just thinks about things a lot. And then, so we get up Christmas morning, and I think Gemma's dead, and his family are coming over, and which is always nice. And then, we have presents and stuff. This year we're going out for Christmas lunch. I've never done that before.
Are you? I've never been out for Christmas lunch.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
We're going to the
In town here.
it's in Charlton, which is a village across. It's a
So who's
I've had way too much beer. It's
who's-
called the Horse and Groom.
Who's going to be driving?
It's the
Somebody's going to have to drive.
yeah, Gemma will drive. It's the
Did you know that?
who's that chef? That guy who's not
God, here we
French but
go.
has got a French name. A very famous chef with black hair. Michelin star bloke.
Right. Marco. No.
Marco Pierre White.
He's
yeah.
not French.
I know, that's what I said. I said he's not French, but
right.
he's got a French sounding
right,
name.
okay, yeah.
Marco Pierre White. It's one of his places.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're doing that because of various things have happened in the family this year, so we're not having anything kind of here. And then Gemma will drive home, and then we'll just carry on. Gemma's mum's going to come and stay with us, which will be lovely.
Perfect.
And what about you?
Same sort of thing, really. I mean, we always have it at home, really. Grandparents will come round. Not my grandparents, so it would be very clever if they came round. That would be like a second coming, that's for sure. But the boys' grandparents will come round, and and we just sort of play a few games, do very traditional things, watch the Queen's speech.
Oh, do you watch that?
Yeah. It's something that goes back years in our family.
But they always tell you what's going to be in it the day before.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. She might change it. I'm hoping one day she's going to come back flipping into the room and she's going to completely change the script.
It's like the election when they did the exit poll right at 10 o'clock, and then that just ruins it. It's like, well, there's no fun in it anymore.
Yeah, but you don't know whether it's going to be the right score, do you? You know,
Queen's speech is always what they say. It's always in the papers the day before.
Yeah, that's true. No, you're still going to see the delivery of it.
I'm really looking for. What are you looking forward to seeing on TV?
See, we don't really watch a lot of TV
I never watch TV.
I couldn't even tell you. I mean, years ago, I would have known that it was going to be a James Bond whatever, or
Gavin and Stacey.
Gavin and Stacey. See, I like Gavin. Yeah, that's irreverent enough for me.
I took the kids to see Jumanji, the third one.
Oh, that got a real slating.
Oh, it was brilliant.
Was it?
Although I've never been to see Jumanji before, so I didn't actually know what.
Most people say if you've seen Jumanji before, it's much of the same.
I presume it is, yeah. But I thought it was a cartoon actually, and then when it was real people in it, Danny DeVito's in it, and
Rock.
Yeah, The Rock. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
Albie, bless him, was chuckling his little head off all the way through it. Yeah. It was good.
Yeah, no, we very rarely watch telly apart from the Queen's speech, and it's just, we're really quite traditional. We play a load of board games and stuff, and that's it really.
Yeah.
But there we go. Well, look, thank you very much for being with us this year. And the next couple of weeks are slightly different episodes. They're going to be kind of best of the guests and some of our favourite parts of the podcast. Just all thrown together in a vegan hodgepodge for you to enjoy. Have a super, super Christmas. Be safe, be kind, and be perfectly you.
On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 12 drummers drumming, 11 pipers piping, 10 lords will lead me, 9 ladies waiting, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 golden rings, 4 golden birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Suddenly, there came a light.
Slow down on suddenly.
Suddenly.
No.
Suddenly.
Not sudden. Get your D's.
Suddenly.
I'll tell you, it's not easy on this donkey to do this.
It wouldn't be on the donkey on a park bench. Stick to the script. Don't keep changing things. But you always go first with a question, so you go first. No, I said the first too many times.
And as quick as she appeared...
Slow down.
Okay. And as quick as she appeared...
Don't worry, we're just going to tell you something very special indeed.
No, instead.
I thought I had a character.
I'll tell you what, it's cold, but you always go, ugh, ugh.
Come down here or break your bloody neck.
No, not you'll break your bloody neck.
Oh.
Down here or you'll break.
Right. Jammer, don't you dare reveal any of those secrets. Come down here or you'll break your... break.
By the way, how come I have to be the narrator and Gemma gets to... No, Gemma gets to be the angel and I got to be the old narrator.
No,
I want a better part. I want to be Mary next
You're
time.
the narrator.
The FujiCast is an independent Loading Zone production